You said you have this value creation framework when you're deciding where to play and how to win. I'm hoping you can walk us through some of that.
I like to think of myself as a tough-minded idealist. Idealist meaning that I believe in the purpose and values, but I'm here to make sure that our dreams could come true. The framework that I referenced, it's not something that I developed, but something that actually have been hugely influential on me as well as the management teams that I'm part of. It's a book that you might have heard of. It's called Playing to Win, written by the former chairman and CEO of P&G and a business school professor, Roger Martin. It's called Play to Win. So ask like 4 or 5 really key questions, of the business as you develop your strategy. What's your winning aspiration? Where will you play? How will you win? What capabilities do you have to have in place to win? And last but not least, this is probably the most unsung part of it. What management system are required to support the choices you've made? I mean, how are you going to run the company? What is the performance culture and operating cadence that you need to make sure that the strategic choices that you've chosen goes from vision to reality? So I would say that that framework of strategy development is super, super important. But at the end of the day, strategy is about choices. Did you make the right choice to expand into XYZ? Did you deviate so far from your purpose and values? Or is it actually a really natural adjacency that you have every right to play in? Those are the choices that you make that the CFO could help enable. Do you have a deep understanding of your consumer? Do you have the right go-to-market strategy? Have you invested in the structural economics of your business? Have you considered the macro trends of the industry that you're in? Have you met the needs, maybe even anticipate the needs of your stakeholder ecosystem? And if you happen to be the leader in the industry, as the North Face was in the outdoors or Mars Veneer Health and Vet industry, you have a responsibility to lead and make the first move that smaller players may not have the financial wherewithal or the ability to influence and shape.
You mentioned the term operational cadence, which I think is a beautiful packet of words there. How does the pace that the CFO drive impact the rest of the org?
We all love and believe deeply in process. So technology enables processes that you need to run the business. So in terms of driving strategy from vision to action in reality, is you need to clearly define what your strategic choices are. How do you know that you've succeeded? So what are the KPIs and milestones that you need to hit? So the strategic choices need to translate into very concrete action plans with measurable results that will tell you've won. That's the performance culture and operating cadence. For people outside of finance think, oh, you do the budget once a year, right? And you're done. And, maybe you do a quarterly business review every quarter, you're done. I would say that the right operating cadence is that you have a continuous process loop. If I have a strategic choice with these 5 tactics, how are these 5 tactics progressing in a concrete way with the metrics that I've defined for those 5 tactics? And, what percentage of completion have I seen in year, right? So think of a gas gauge. I'm not looking at the gas gauge every quarter or every period. If I'm 6 months in, have I actually completed 50% of what I think I'm going to hit? Or am I going to, by some miracle, hit 80% of my metrics in December 31st?
What's fascinating is you described it as a continuous loop. You didn't break it up into this one's annual, this one's quarterly, this one's monthly, this one's weekly.
Correct. So your strat plan is typically 3 to 5 year horizon, right? It's your aspiration with some concrete steps. But your annual operating plan, right? It's an operating plan by definition. It tells you what your annual goal is, maybe broken down by month. But what is important is you have to have constant visibility, especially in this world today, it's constantly changing. You can't even afford to just say, I'm going to review my results once a period. You got to say, do I need to actually recalibrate mid-flight? And how do I know that I'm, flashing red, yellow, or green? So that's the continuous process loop that I'm talking about. So again, you got to measure what matters, because if you measure too many things, it means nothing, right? You're just busy. Activity without impact is just busy work, in my personal opinion. The key to instilling the right performance culture and the right operating cadence is defining the right, milestones and metrics that you need to hit, having the ability to have real-time visibility and recalibrate and say, you know what, this is going great. Let's allocate more capital, more OpEx to this particular tactic. Or, mid-flight saying, you know what, it's not working. Let's just cut off funding, which is the hardest thing to do. Probably my budget from my cold dead hands, right? All CFOs know this, and it's really challenging. Understanding in flight how you need to recalibrate is the operating cadence that I think we all strive to hit.
Can you speak to the hardest of decisions there? Can you think back to a time where you have had to mid-flight pull back on budget and how you went about that situation?
I could tell you about an early lesson, a very expensive, painful lesson I've learned as this North Face CFO on a project that I should have killed. It deviated so far from our core, but it sounded sexy and fun. And I was too early in my tenure because I was first year as a North Face CFO that I didn't have enough, I think, confidence and probably courage to say, time out. This is wasted money. It is to build a battery powered jacket
Oh, really?
that would warm you up and cool you down.
Cool you down. Take off the jacket.
In retrospect, we're not a hardware company. We're not a battery company. So we outsourced it and spent millions of dollars in consulting fees to try to bring a product to market that will have to retail at $1,200 to make any kind of margin. Like I said, it was just the wrong product pursuing a consumer probably that doesn't exist.
Looking back at it, you're like, okay, the signals were there. Maybe I just didn't want to have that hard conversation.
And I didn't have the confidence because I'm not from the outdoor industry. I was actually the only person from outside the outdoor industry to complement the team. You need a mix of, experiences and talents. I didn't have enough confidence in the outdoor industry yet when you're in to say that's a terrible idea. Challenge the head of product.
So here's a pattern I keep running into when I talk to finance leaders at fast-growing companies. You've outgrown the spreadsheets. You've probably outgrown your billing tools built in RevRec, but you're not quite at the point where you can throw a 20-person team at the problem either. That's exactly the danger zone RightRev owns. RightRev is revenue recognition done right. It handles the messy stuff like high-volume subscriptions, usage-based contracts, and mid-contract upgrades. The things that break your ERP and the billing platform bolt-ons. Here's the thing though, your sales team isn't slowing down for you. They're closing ramp deals, usage commitments, and mid-quarter upgrades. And the longer you wait to fix the engine, the further behind you fall. So stop scrambling at month end and stitching together allocations across 3, 4, 5 spreadsheets to just have the numbers ready. Well, that's it. That's the whole pitch. CFOs tell me it's like a glow up for the revenue books. That sounds like where you are right now. RightRev is worth the look. Head to rightrev.com/CJ. That's rightrev.com/CJ. Check them out.